What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and welcome to another headset review, another delayed one. Today, it's the Technica ATH AG1X headset. And the reason why I had to look that up is because there are a couple in this, and this is one of the newer versions. So this is a gaming headset at $299 headset. That means it comes with a mic. It's not a set of headphones. So that price may make you go, there's a reason why. This is a company that really wants to bring audiophile sound to the gamers in the console market, and we're going to see how they basically did with that. Now, as you guys know, I don't do sponsored reviews, so they sent me a free version of this, which then I had to save up money and buy the box set again for myself. That's the one I'll be testing. I will be giving away their unopened version to patrons, as I do with all items that I get. That way I spent my cold hard cash on it regardless, and you still get something free from it, so that we can sort of remove the fact that Karak didn't pay for this. I did. It actually took me a little while to save up the cash to do so. So let's jump right on in. $299 probably on Amazon, maybe a little bit cheaper depending on what different group you find it for. So let's discuss how I test first, because I know a lot of people still wonder about this. I do not believe in quick looks for games, and I do not believe in quick looks for headset reviews. It's one of those situations where I want, and I think that a person who looks at a headset review needs to cover everything from durability to just how it sounds over time, getting used to it, doing a lot of tests. So I test everything from games known for excellent music, like a DICE game, and games known for problems like Skyrim Remastered, which has a ton of problems with its new compressed audio files that you can directly contrast to the actual older version with the same audio files not being compressed. And I believe that was just the Xbox One and PC version that happened, but it's great to have that comparison. I also listen to a ton of lossy music and a ton of lossless music files. I watch a ton of movies, any movie I can get, old style movies, everything from Legend and Willow, all the way to brand new movies like any of the Avengers movies, any of the bigger comic book movies, as well as dramas and stuff like that. And in that time, I also do durability testing. Now, what I usually do is I usually test the headset to get an overall general feel of it. That can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. And then after that, I do a minimum of 100 hours of durability testing. Now, I get it. I get it. Some people are running around saying, why do you do durability testing? I lock mine in a frickin' safe that's guarded by some golem and no one can get to it. I get it. But for me, and for many gamers I know, a headset can be moved from your PC to your console, from one console to the other console, because maybe you don't want 2 headsets, one for each console. It can be, let friends come over and they want to put a headset on. Maybe you're really impressed with the headset and you want other people to hear it, so you invite them over and they're playing with it. So I sort of do my durability testing afterwards, once I've sort of identified what I think it sounds like and what I like. And what that allows me to do is not only identify and watch very closely if any damage happens to the headset, or any falls, any, it falls out of somebody's hands, falls off somebody's head, but it also allows me to then test to see if changes have happened to the audio. Has a driver come loose? That kind of thing. So there's a lot of testing involved. This one got even more just simply because during the time I was testing it, I was also saving up to buy a copy to give to you guys, and it took longer than I thought. So let's just jump straight on in. Let's talk about design. So I'm going to be honest, I grabbed these suckers, and when I was originally contacted by them, they were like, do you want to do a review? Yeah, for sure. I looked at the design and I was like, I'm not quite sure I'll like this. Now, you guys probably know I love, the overall, I guess, almost sewn version of the wire on the clouds. And I liked their overall subdued look. Even the leather with the stitching was, for me, was like, okay, I notice it. It was a little much. This is far more modern looking. It's got the clamshell design for torsion on the head versus any kind of crescent pressure. This never touches your head. It also has no adjustments, which we will definitely discuss. It's got a short throw mic and round ear pads. So I'm less of a fan of round, and we'll talk about that as well, though there are some excellent headsets that do have round. So when it comes to this, what did I think when I first saw it? Actually, even with the metallic red, I was not super unattracted to these. I thought they looked okay. They certainly skew more towards the gamer side than I think some headsets. But overall, these were pretty okay. I was actually, they just did 2 colors. They didn't go crazy and do a bunch. And most of it is black and just that little bit of red. The clamshell, give or take, we'll talk about its comfort. But overall, I was pretty okay with this. Now, it's got a fairly long wire. It is a harder rubber wire, which there might be some issues with that, and I'll talk about it at the end of the review. Of course, this is, at $299, a headset that just is your analog hookup for your stereo. And I'll admit, I do not ding it for not having a USB, but I did sort of go, oh, it doesn't have a USB at that cost, which I would have liked, just because, especially at this cost, I would have liked even more connection options. Luckily, at the end, it does have a splitter, so you can plug this into your Xbox or your PS4, or put that splitter on and put it to your PC and run it to your microphone input, as well as your speaker output or headphone output, so you can do the split here. It's got a very nice remote. Now, some people might think, like, who's happy about a remote control style or a control style on the wire? I am. There's two reasons. The mute's fine. I don't really care too much about that. It's a long throw dial versus a short throw, which I had some issues on the cloud at times. It's got a pretty short throw dial, which means you barely nudge it and it gets louder. I like discrete levels. I love discrete levels. The more discrete levels I can have for adjustment, the better, because I may want to just have it, on pretty loud, but still hear if somebody's knocking at the door. I may want to be, cranking it so that I'm isolated. I may barely want it on so that I can hear if somebody's calling me in the house. There's various reasons why having more of a discrete leveling is good. And that is actually, it sounds stupid, but it is actually a sign of a company that really understands headsets and really understands audiophile headsets, because you will notice on a lot of gamer headsets, they're short throw, which means they don't require much. I was very happy with that. As you can tell, it's a small thing, but it is one of those things that when you see it and notice it, you're like, oh yeah, that's great. So as a design, I say overall it's pretty nice. I'm not a big fan of the rubber cord, whatever. It has a detachable mic, which now, having seen all the issues that a lot of the YouTube subscribers had with detachable mics, and the one myself, I'm pretty happy that this is not detachable. At least I never tried to detach it. So design-wise is pretty good. It is 48 ohm and it is 53 millimeter. When it comes to its drivers. So this is, we talk about power when it comes to headsets very often. This is basically right there in that middle gray ground. I've talked about it before. Anything from about, you could say 40, but I usually say 30 or below when it comes to ohm level is considered low power. Anything about 120, maybe 100 to 120 ohm is considered high power. Well, what's nice about these are they're in the same gray area that the clouds were in, which allow them to be used on almost any device. And I say almost because I'm sure somebody out there is going to find a device these don't work on. But as you guys know, I test them on everything. iPhones, iPads, Android tablets, Android telephones, high power vacuum tube amps, Xbox One, PS4. If I have the Wii hooked up, the Wii. Older systems, I have those hooked up, run it through the receiver, run it through optical, run it through the controller, run it through everything. And these worked spectacularly well regardless. And they gave good sound, even higher sound, by the way, than the clouds when connected to the controllers. And I think that that's something that should be lauded for them, because I did discuss that the clouds, while they sounded amazing plugged into the controller, despite the shitty codec that they use, that Bluetooth compressed codec, they weren't. I would have liked just a little bit more volume. Not with these. These were fine. So let's just sort of look at these as a design level and say they're pretty good. As there's some issues there power-wise, though. I was really happy with what they delivered, and I think so. When it comes to the innards themselves, once again, you can see that this is a company that knows what they're doing when it comes to audiophile stuff, and they've really made some good drivers and good power handling within this set. When I drive at high power, I usually don't want to go more than like double the ohms that it expects. And it handled it fine. There didn't seem to be a worry there of any pops or any problems with it, it falling apart or exploding. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Soundstage itself and the sound. So the sound on these, okay, this is another reason why I don't like short time reviews. The sound on these is startlingly neutral. Sorry. Very neutral, incredibly neutral, so much so that when you first put them on, this is something you'll see people actually stating in other reviews, that they actually take some time to get used to. Now, many headsets, especially in the gaming area, will be made to be lively, is what it's called, whether that be an adjustment to a little bit of bass, adjustment to the highs, whatever. There's a little bit of an adjusted sound depending on what even the developer wants in, or what the developer options are in a game when they pick headset or they pick theater. So you put these on and they're stunningly neutral. They are really neutral. There is barely any additional bass, and that's most likely because this is a closed back headset. So that bass is just most of it just by design, but you have a very neutral headset. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, this is a headset, and I've talked about this in past reviews, depending on what you want from a headset. Some people want a headset that'll make bad music sound good, and other people want a headset that is neutral enough to be almost clinical in that it identifies it. If the music sounds bad and there's a bunch of issues within it, you're going to hear that. And I get that there are two different fields and I'm right in the middle. These, though, are far more towards the clinical side, and you will be able to hear some weird little instances. For example, I was able to hear a whine in two different connections that was not hearable, not discernible at least, with two other lower priced headsets that were plugged in just recently. So that was pretty cool in that way. Whether you like that or not, I don't know. Very neutral. That means a lot of your adjustments, if you want to do any, will be through an EQ or through your sound system on your PC or on your receiver and so forth. So very, very good there. Again, very loud as well. They did an incredible job on making sure that these deliver response even at a low ohm rating. And the higher ohm ratings, you do get that increased bass response, you get an increased sound, but you don't get any popping or anything. At least I didn't on medium powered amplifiers. So this is overall showing signs of being a company that handles and understands audiophile when it comes to sound. Now the Soundstage, these are closed back. What that means is, instead of open-backed headphones, they're closed back, and most people have closed back, but open-back headphones usually have a wider sound stage. That means it's almost a concert setting. So when you're playing a video game, or let's say you're just discussing headphones, some people want to be isolated, right? And some people want more of an open sound stage. And sometimes that can help in games where there's a lot of 3D sound, a lot of different sampling on the left and right. These have an okay soundstage. Now, I've seen some people say these are excellent. I don't agree with that. I've seen cheaper headphones have a not greatly advanced, but a noticeably advanced soundstage on them and a better soundstage. These were good, though. There were a good soundstage on them for closed back. And because they isolate so freaking well, that was more towards the person who likes to sort of secrete themselves into their own world and get away from the real world, because these things isolate almost as good as the clouds. And those clouds are insane. These things, when you put them on, I wasn't cranking them, but they were uncomfortably loud. And for me, that means something. And people within the same room, as long as there was even the smallest amount of ambient noise, either couldn't tell there was anything playing, but for sure could never tell what music or game or anything was being played. Very good isolation on these. So these are far more towards the gamer side overall than maybe the listener side when it comes to an audiophile. Very good isolation, very good sound response, just overall really nice neutral headphones. But again, they will surprise you. I guarantee if you put these on, you will go, and you may even not like it because it's a less lively sound. It's not augmented artificially, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially when you're playing games. If you like that, you like that. This crap, even though I'm an audiophile, most of us age out of that bullshit argument. And if you like that, great. But these will take you a while to get used to. So the one other thing that I want to talk about with sound is the mic. Now, I've seen people come and go on this mic, right? I like one or two things about it. One, it didn't pick up almost any breathing sounds, and it was right in front of my face. So it was nice. You don't have to worry about sound like you're running time miles or you're a fat protagonist in a video game who can only run 40 feet before the stamina bar dies. The problem is in all other areas. It sounds terrible. It sounds so bad that I've done 2 podcasts with it, and each podcast people have been like, I don't know why you're using that headset. It is terrible. That microphone is terrible. And I tested it just to see. It is that bad. That headset or headphone, it really boggles my mind that we have such good audio quality coming from this headset that they paired it and chose to do a headset, which usually means it's paired with a mic, and you get a mic like that. Now, I've seen some people say it's good. I'm sorry, and I don't have a damaged one because now I've been able to test this. 2 other people have this, and the mics have an issue. They just are not good. They're very artificial sounding, and they almost sound like they have, and they don't, but they almost sound like they have in some way almost a software audio cleanup going on in them, and it becomes a very artificial sound. So I'm not at all happy with the mic itself. It's there though, so that means would I take it off if I was doing my Xbox or the PSN? Of course not. No, I would certainly use that. But I would never do voiceover work, and unless the world is ending, I won't do another podcast with that mic. So when it comes to sound, excellent sound, very neutral. Mic is not so good. So let's talk about comfort. Comfort's a big deal. They're so uncomfortable, guys. I'm just going to be honest here. They're the most uncomfortable headset I've used in years. They're so uncomfortable that multiple people on my podcasts have commented, what is your problem? Do you have like head lice or something? Because about 45 minutes into using these, I will start scratching my ears, moving them around. There's no slats at the top or bottom for air circulation at all. They are round, which means they don't necessarily fit, an ear that's oblong, and they're not big enough to do so. And so what happens is you get a nice cushion, which works great for sound isolation, but here's why. Because it is pressed up against your head like that. And so what happens is the positives of the sound isolation are absolutely devastated by the comfort level. Additionally, these are the hottest earphones I've used in years. The drivers on these get so warm from electricity going through them. Because that's what you're doing. The longer you listen, the more heat's getting built up. And you guys will see me in podcasts scratching my ears, cooling them down. That's crazy, especially at 45 minutes. So what I did was I thought, what, is this just me? So I invited some friends over, and I'm like, okay, if this is just me and these are uncomfortable for just me and everybody else likes them, I got no problem. There's some other issues which we'll discuss in a second, but I'm like, let's just see what people think. The mean time for somebody complaining or somebody moving their ear when I watched them play games was less than 30 minutes. Less than 30 minutes. The lowest I've ever seen, and I do testing, lowest I've ever seen for comfort level on a headset like this. That was very disconcerting, especially because I had people who were, 5'1", a head with a, size small baseball cap all the way to an extra large baseball cap. Nobody was comfortable. However, one cool thing, nobody had a problem with the clamshells, though they may felt loose for some people. A lot of people like the design, which I have seen, I wouldn't say universally discussed as being a negative, but a lot of people didn't like them. I had no problem with those, and in fact, I like those. I just wish there were some adjustments, because this headset, it ain't got any. That means if this doesn't fit you in some way, this doesn't fit you in some way, which is crazy to me at this cost. Additionally, whenever I look online and I start seeing a ton of workarounds about something, usually I consider it to be two things. One, somebody likes it a lot because the workaround isn't return the goddamn thing. The workaround is work around, but keep it. But there were so many threads about the workarounds for this, and most of it involved the lack of adjustments, including, no lie, people stating, hey, when you buy this, just go on Amazon and buy rubber bands at the same time because you'll need them. Because what happens is it doesn't feel tight, and it isn't tight on some people's heads, and so they wrap rubber bands around the body of it right here to tighten it around the head. Now, I didn't have that issue at all, but I was very, very concerned when I saw so many people have it. And then I noticed when I brought it over and then also had people come over and they used the headset, they all complained about it. So comfort-wise, this is absolutely a bomb. It is uncomfortable, and I could never, ever tell somebody that's a comfortable headset. It wasn't comfortable no matter what I did, and the large number of people who used it, nobody thought that was comfortable over time compared to other headsets that we have at the time for any kind of comparison. In fact, when I have people saying I'd rather use earbuds, that means something to me. So, comfort-wise, there's some issues there, and I get it. I do, because, when you talk to, and I've done this before, when you talk to manufacturers, usually you will find that if they're a gaming headset manufacturer, the number one thing that they focus on is comfort, because longer comfort means longer playing time, means more time to use the headset. When it comes to audiophiles and when it comes to very expensive headphones, of course, what are they going to focus on? They're going to focus on sound reproduction. That makes sense, right? Because that's what they're known for. That's what you're jumping into. And then comfort will be usually second or third. And cost will also not be on there. And so what happens is we have a headset that's come down a little bit in cost than some of the more expensive headsets, even though this is fairly expensive, but they just didn't make it when it comes to comfort. This needs to have a smorgasbord of adjustments, a great deal of them. It needs to have heat dissipation, which blows me away because now we see a good number of headsets having something for heat dissipation. Not all, but a good number. The clamshells are give or take. I liked them. Some people didn't, but I think that they should be adjustable, and I did try to adjust them, and basically all I found is that I could take parts of the headset apart. I couldn't seem to figure out a way to adjust those to be tighter on people's heads. So, comfort-wise, complete, utter, unacceptably when it comes to comfort. Now, you may like that, you may not. I can't speak for everybody, I can only speak for myself. So, last but not least, durability. These are freakishly durable. And once again, we have the good and bad, right? These things have been dropped. They have been, rubbed up against on accident by like a dog, fallen onto a hardwood floor. They have been, somebody have them in the PS4 controller, and then the battery wears down, so they get up to plug in a USB cable to it, and they catch it, and it falls off. That's happened a couple times. It's been worn by a number of people, small-headed, big-headed, whatever, sweaty-headed, unsweaty-headed, and just absolutely used just like a normal person would use them. And I consider that average use, just a person using something instead of just locking it away. And even at this cost, that's correct, because if this was an audiophile headphone and that's what it was sold as, well, that might be different. You might just hang them up somewhere, which I do with some of mine. This is a gaming headset, which means you might jump it from different consoles. You might jump it from your PC. You might watch a movie with it, and then you might go back to your console and play a game. And different people might come over and use it as well. So durability wise, I'm very happy with this. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw this and I saw like these wires here, I was like, oh man, this thing just doesn't look like it's going to last very long, or the mic or something like that, or even the cable. And instead it actually worked really well. Now, I mentioned at the starting of this that the cable might have been an issue for something. There was a couple times where I heard a little bit of whine in areas where I had not with other headphones, and I don't know if it was the cable or the headset. It could be the headset, but I have nicer headsets than this with a bigger frequency response that are considered a great deal better than these, and they didn't pick it up. And so it could be that just the cable got a little bit of a bend in it, or there's something else going on somewhere. I like the cable. It's okay. It is just a rubber, and it's a little bit hard and thicker rubber, but overall I was fine. I just figured I'd mention it. So when it comes to durability, fantastic. What do I think of them? Well, they're way too expensive for what you get. They're audio-wise, they're great. And unfortunately, as I talked to you guys in the past review, when something impacts you so that you can't experience its strengths, those weaknesses become far more profound. The weaknesses here are the lack of adjustment, the large number of people discussing how to get around all those issues. The poor mic is a throwaway. Like, you guys can decide to use that. But what you want is you want good sound, and that's what this has. And you have good power, that's what this has. You have clear sound, that's what this has. Neutral sound, which some people like and some people don't, but it has that. But what it also has is such a weakness that stops you from enjoying those things. And a lesser sounding headset that is more comfortable will overall be a more enticing feature for many people who are going to be possibly sitting and playing 4 to 10 hours of a game or games on their consoles while wearing these, especially at the cost. If these were if these were half price, this might be a different discussion. It might be a discussion more along the lines of, it sucks, but maybe they didn't have the money to do so. But instead, you get a fairly high-priced headset with no adjustments and just some really strange oddities when it comes to comfort, and that is very sad. So as you guys know, when I rate these, I don't rate them as a buy, wait for sale, that kind of thing. It's more like, for their price section, they're pretty good, or they're not, or they're worth getting. I don't like these for their price at all. At $299, you can find a mod mic, which I'm not a huge fan of, but you can get a mod mic, which is a detachable mic, and you can get yourself some nice headphones that don't have a mic, and you will most likely be happier with those just on the comfort level, let alone the sound level. These are very good. They have a lot going for them. But the one problem that they have that was universal with everybody that I saw test this was the various issues with comfort and with workarounds. And I think that unfortunately with this cost, there is no way for me to feel like I could validly say it was worth all of that just for that neutral sound. We can get fairly close neutral sound and a mod mic for less money, most likely, or close to it. And it would be something you could put on and pretty much forget for the period of gameplay that you have. So anyway, that's it for me. There will be an affiliate link, if I find one, in the description if you decide to buy these and go test them. And I always suggest people do that. Headphones, they're a thing where some people may put it on and it may just fit and work for them. But I'm telling you, don't just listen to it for an hour because, number one, the sound itself is neutral and you might not be used to that. But wear it for a while and see if that comfort level is something that you notice or don't notice. And if you don't, great. There'll be an affiliate link in the description if you choose to buy it. Once again, I will be giving away the version I got to a patron at the end of the next month so that you guys will have that. So if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe check out Patreon or Twitter. If you dislike the video, give it a thumbs down. And as always, peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.